Hello, Todd Shank here from Premier FPL. Doing the Game Week 30 FPL tips here today. So, as you can see, I do have pulled up the Game Week 30 through 33 FPL fixtures with my ranking set up here. I did add some weights to it that basically looked at increasing the difficulty of the teams that have blanks coming up. So this is set up primarily for anybody who's looking at this in terms of setting your team for game weeks 31 and 33 and using a free hit for 32. So you can kind of take that for what you will and then just kind of make your decisions based on that understanding, combined with just looking at the teams that do have the double game weeks and how you're basically, however you have your strategy worked out, just be prepared for that. So take this for what you will. As you can see, the top team here is Leicester City, and this is not necessarily based on form per se, but because I bring that up mainly because I don't feel like they have the greatest form recently. Doing a little bit better since sacking Puel, but still, not great. However, Fulham at home seems like a great fixture to look at targeting. Burnley away, Bournemouth at home aren't super great. Actually, I should say Bournemouth at home is a really good fixture because Bournemouth on the road has been pretty poor. Huddersfield away should be a good one, but Burnley has been playing decent lately, so they could struggle to score goals. I think I covered Leicester last week. I still think that some of the best options are still, Maddison, Harvey Barnes, Vardy, even Pereira or Chilwell in defense. So not much has really changed there. For myself, I'm actually considering bringing in Maddison for Son this week. The other move that I would consider making is Vardy for Rashford. Mainly because of the Arsenal fixture this weekend. Rashford, definitely trust him to score in that. But do need to set myself up for game weeks 31 and then also the blank in game week 33. So have to start preparing ahead for that. I will have my free transfer for this week, my free transfer for 31. So I should be on target to have, I believe I should be able to get at least 9 starting players for that game week 31. And then hopefully after that, we will have a better idea of what's going on with game week 33. But yeah, so I really wish we had more information on that now, but as it may, can't really do much for that. One of the other teams, Bournemouth here, again, their attacking threat is still there. Huddersfield away could be a tricky one for them, but then they do have Newcastle at home. They are playing much better at home. So Newcastle at home, Burnley at home are 2 good fixtures to look at, especially for targeting some of their offensive threats. Brooks, Fraser, King. I think I would give the nod to King over Wilson, mainly because he has been starting. See what happens this weekend. Maybe Wilson is a better pick going forward. But anyway, Huddersfield is up here too. I don't know that I necessarily trust them as much. Recent weeks they have done, somewhat better. But it's Huddersfield that we're talking about. And having 2 wins in a row is pretty good for them. 3 wins in a row, so looking much better. I will leave it up to you who you would want to pick from Huddersfield. I don't necessarily trust them. I do have Schindler on my team, but that's mostly because of his price point. Frees up more space for me in my own team. Liverpool, of course, have matches all the way through the rest of the season, so they're a team that you can kind of set and forget. The other one that I'm considering doing is a Son for Mane switch, and that one I'm debating whether I want to do it this week and do that instead of Madison, because we do have Burnley at home. But Liverpool has been struggling. Then again, they played well at home. It's like form versus fixtures versus statistics. Burnley has been doing better lately defensively, so they could hold out, turn it into like a 1-0 match again. Whereas Leicester City has Fulham at home, and Fulham is known to give up goals, so kind of a toss-up for me there. Newcastle is a team that has some good fixtures. The only issue is that they could possibly have the game week 33 blank from Crystal Palace, which would then also set them up for a double game week. So their new guy, Almiron, looked good, so he's an interesting one. Shar, I think, is still a good one. I have Hayden in my own team, Rondon. Lascelles is a decent one. Now, the nice thing about Newcastle is they have great prices. Here's Almiron, 6.0s, right on that borderline, but has played well, picked up, 3-3-2, but for me, he's a player that has passed the eye test for me. He's looked good getting forward, so it seems like a matter of time before he is able to get on the scoring sheet for assists or goals, something along those lines. So last week was not a good week at all for me. Really should have gone with Jimenez as my captain, and realizing the biggest difference for me this season has been my captain picks. Getting the captain pick correct has been the biggest difference in whether I'm having a good game week or a poor to mediocre game week. The weeks where I really got the captain pick right is where I've shot up the ranks and really had the big green arrows. The weeks where, like this past week, Aguero blanking, getting just the 4 points for my captain pick. If I just moved that to Jimenez, I think that would have been a huge difference between getting the 37 points versus what would that have been, 50, whatever that was, 49. So yeah, that is a thing that I've been really thinking about this past week, is trying to make sure that I'm getting a good captain pick. I'm not really sure where to go for this weekend. I would say Salah, because he has Burnley at home, but he's not really been playing well, not scoring goals recently. His form has really dipped in recent weeks. His last double point week was in game week 23 against Crystal Palace. Other than that, his best one was the Bournemouth match where he had the 8 points. But otherwise, he's picking up steady points. But again, it comes back to that whole value thing. At 13.4, he needs to be up here with at least 8 points for me to feel like it's really worth it. Now, back here when he was getting double-digit scores week after week, definitely worth the value. But a lot of blanks in here over the past 6 game weeks, and that has definitely hurt. Same thing, I brought in Aguero after he had these big weeks here. Actually just brought him back in last week, so I've missed out on some of the big points there too. So coming up this weekend, they do have Watford at home. I'm thinking that that's probably where I'm going to put my captain, is with Aguero. Hoping that he will be playing and not being rested for I think he'll play. I don't think Pep will rest him for the Champions League match. They already have the 3 away goals, so I think that Aguero has a good chance to start this weekend, and I trust that he will be playing. So I think that I've just talked myself into captaining Aguero again, and will most likely move the vice captain to Salah just in case Aguero does not play. So Still holding on to Wan-Bissaka. I'm one of the many. I'm sure there are many out there. Again, if I just played Wan-Bissaka instead of Schindler or Doherty, that would have put me above the average. That would have been a much better pick. But one of those situations where I wasn't quite sure if he was going to play, so I ended up sitting him on the bench. Anyway, moving back here, looking ahead. Some of the other teams, Crystal Palace didn't have the blank in Game Week 31. I think that they would be a good one to look at moving forward through Game Week 33. After that, I guess, they have the Tottenham, City, and Arsenal matches in here. So as long as you have somebody that you can kind of swap around there, I think like a West Ham might be a good one, or Bournemouth, still another good one that if you could just have kind of be able to swap back and forth between them. Even Leicester City, that's a good one. I think they have some pretty good opposites here. So Crystal Palace, when they play City, Leicester's playing Newcastle, and then when Leicester's playing Arsenal and Man City, then Crystal Palace has Everton and Cardiff. So I think that Leicester Crystal Palace would be a good way to kind of combine a couple teams there. So I think this is kind of what I'm thinking, targeting, Leicester City for some of these fixtures, Liverpool with Mane, looking at some of the Crystal Palace players here, trying to kind of combine Leicester and Crystal Palace. Now again, my strategy is going to be, I'm going to use I'll have 2 transfers for between game weeks 30 and 31. So I have 1 free today for this week, and then I'll have 1 free transfer for 31. Still gonna make in my mind whether I want to just hold on to my transfer this week to do the double transfer for game week 31. Then for 32, I'm gonna be using my free hit, which will then, with my game week 31, 33 strategy, I'll be set up for those, and then planning to do the wild card in game week 34 to set me up for game week 35, where I'll probably be using my bench boost. Now, somewhere in there, I'm going to have to figure out where I'm going to use my triple captain. Game week 33 with, this is where one of the issues comes in. We'll have to figure out where they're going to be moving this Cardiff home fixture here with Man City, if it will get moved to 32. Otherwise, that would be a great one for triple captain for Aguero. Outside of that, I think the Liverpool versus Cardiff in 35 is a good one, but again, if I'm using my bench boost, then kind of out there. So the other option might be to use my triple captain somewhere in game week 35 and then saving my bench boost for game week 38. I know in the past that's worked out well for people to save the bench boost for 38. Usually fairly high scoring matches in that last week. I think that is kind of the last thing that I'll have to figure out is where I'm using that triple captain. Even this game week 31 Salah against Fulham might be a good one to burn it there. Just kind of looking through this now and trying to think about my strategy, because I haven't really come up with a good strategy for my triple captain. Have good strategies. I feel like I have a good strategy for the free hit and the wild card. Even the bench boost if I do hit that in game week 35. So I think that's kind of the last remaining piece for me. So anyway, you can go to the PremierFPL.com, where I do have the fixtures difficulty up here. I believe I covered just about everything that I'm considering for this game week. Like I said, I think I will do the captain with Aguero and then move vice captain to Salah. This is probably a good week to put in my Bournemouth players as well. Just going to have to figure that out, whether I transfer out Son or not. Otherwise, I kind of like my defense here. Doherty is one that has not played well recently. I think he's on my chopping block for my wild card for sure. I'll have to think about that, because I still have, the 2 free transfers. He's one that's going to be missing in game week 31, so he could be a good one to transfer out. good possibility that he'll be also missing a match here or he is, that's right, because the Wolverhampton match from United is being moved. So he'll also be missing in game week 33. So that, thinking about now, that might be actually a good one to transfer out sooner rather than later. But I am set up pretty well. If I would hold on to Schindler, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I should have 7 players already that will be playing in game weeks 31. And then I just need to make my 2 free transfers. That will put me at 9. I feel like that's a pretty good lineup for a blank game week where I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of players out there, a whole lot of managers that are going to have that many going. So, yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm going to wrap it up. Let me know what you're thinking, especially captain-wise. Let me know, who do you think you want to captain for this week? Who are the best captains to go for? Mainly because I feel like that is where I've lost the most points this season. I've missed out a lot on getting my captain pick right, and that has really hurt me throughout this whole season. So really want to know who you have pegged for your captain for this week. And I think the other one is if you have a triple captain week that you're looking at, haven't used it yet and still have it, let me know what you're thinking for your triple captain. I'm a little bit worried about that one considering how poorly I've done with my captain pick so far. So hopefully that's one that I can get right. Anyway, that's where I'm going to leave it. As always, wish you good luck and have fun.